Hi everybody, I'm Emily with the Quilted Cow, and today I'm here to show you how to make this wonderful Gali's notebook cover. Super simple and easy make, you're gonna love it. First though, we need to thank our sponsors. We're sponsored by Husqvarna Viking Machines, Creative Grids, Rulers, Mats, and Cutters, and Wilmington Prince Fabrics. Let's get started. All right, so this Galley's notebook cover is a wonderful cover that you can make and put on any notebook that is 7.5 by 10 inches. I would suggest if you are going to make this, take this in once it's made and fit it to your notebook. Make sure you get a notebook that fits into it, because sometimes every store does not have exactly the same size notebook that you're going to cover. But it is made for a 7.5 by 10 inch notebook. There are kits available on our website, so you're going to want to head on over to thequiltedcow.com, find yourself a Galley's notebook cover kit, and it's going to include everything that you're going to need to make the notebook cover. It also includes this D-ring in here. That's the only hardware that you're going to need, so everything will be included. The paper pattern will be included in the kit, so check those out, make sure you grab one, and let's get started making one of these. First thing first, we're going to go ahead and cut out our pieces of fabric that we need. The pattern is going to tell you exactly how to cut those out. So we have a lining piece of fabric and we also have a main piece of fabric. Now you may notice that this fabric is directional. So you want to watch your directional fabrics, and the pattern is going to tell you based on which direction the fabric faces on your kit or on the bolt will depend on which direction and how you're going to cut these parts out. So it does give you information on cutting for directional fabrics. So I've cut out my main, the outside of the notebook, the lining of the notebook. I also have my sleeve pieces that are on the inside here. So each sleeve piece is going to consist of two fabrics, one main fabric and one lining fabric. And if you have directional fabric, unfortunately, you're going to end up showing off the lining fabric on these sleeves. Hopefully you like that lining fabric, and I really do like this lining fabric. So when we do that, we're going to take those pieces of fabric as well. We also have some interfacing. So there's some fusible fleece, and there's also some lightweight interfacing that's going to line some of your pieces. Once again, pattern is going to tell you exactly how big to cut them and where to put those interfacings. So you're going to fuse your interfacings onto your fabrics. Make sure that the bumpy side or the slick side of the interfacing, that's the glue side, is on the wrong side of your fabrics. Don't put them on the front. You don't want to mess up your pretty fabrics. So once you've got your interfacings fused onto your fabrics, you're going to take your sleeve pieces, and I've gone ahead and stitched this together, but you lay your main fabric sleeve piece and your lining fabric sleeve piece right sides together, and you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch all the way down one side. Once you're finished with that, we're going to press this open. So once you've got that pressed down, we're going to take it over to the machine and just top stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way down that seamed edge there. So I'm going to do that. I'll be right back once I've got that done. Okay, so now I've got that top stitched, and here's my other sleeve piece. And once again, like I said, this fabric is directional. So the way that the fabric goes, the way that the direction of the fabric, depending on the direction of the fabric, you may have where one of your sleeve pieces is directional in the correct way. The other main fabric sleeve piece is not the correct way, it's sideways. So that one is always going to lay with your lining fabric up. And then you have the choice. If you wanted to, you could make it so that one of your sleeve pieces is main fabric up and one of your sleeve pieces is lining fabric up. It is completely up to you. Or you can go ahead and just put both of them with the lining fabric up. That way everything is the same. So the next thing we do once we've got our sleeve pieces made, we want to make our tab piece. So this tab is what your D-ring is going to hang off of, or your charm, or your D-ring, and then you can hang your charm or you can hang your bookmark. So we want to do this tab, and I've gone ahead and folded it and pressed it already, but you're going to take your tab piece, you're going to fold it in half, wrong sides together, give that a good press, and then you're going to open it up and fold your raw edges to the inside. Make sure you press down in between each one. So then you press those down and then give that a good press so it's nice and flat again. And I'm going to do that since I've been messing with it and opening it up. So I'm going to go ahead and flatten it again. And you just want to have a nice edge. And then we're going to take this over to the sewing machine. I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch down both sides. And then that tab will be finished. We'll be ready to assemble our notebook cover. Okay, so I've got my tab top stitched now. And now we're ready to assemble our notebook cover. We want to take our lining piece and lay it right side up. Then we're going to take our sleeve pieces. Once again, if you decided that you wanted one of your sleeves to be the main fabric and the other one to be the lining fabric, but because you have directional fabric and only one of them will work, then you can do that. Sometimes the direction of the fabric won't allow that to happen either. And then also if you have non-directional fabric for your main fabric, you will be able to do your main fabric up on top for your sleeve pieces. But for this one, I'm going to go ahead and make it so that the lining fabric, it's the same sleeve piece on both sides. I'm going to grab my tab and I'm going to thread my D-ring through this. So I'm going to take my D-ring and I'm just going to thread it through this and fold it in half so that the raw edges are lined up. And then I'm going to line up my lining piece and I'm going to count over 6 inches from the left edge. So here's the top of my notebook cover and here's my left edge. 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. And set it right next to that 6-inch line right there. And I'm going to clip that. And then now it's time to layer on the outside of your notebook cover. Once again, make sure if your fabric is directional that you have the correct direction on your fabric, that everything is facing up. So everything is facing up with this. I'm going to just turn it over just like this and make sure my sleeves are still lined up and just lay this right on top of here. And then I'm going to take my Wonder Clips and clip some more. And then if you want, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I'd like to sometimes mark the 4 inches. You're going to leave 4-inch opening on the bottom of this. I always like to make sure that my opening stays away from the edge of the sleeve. So I'll come here into the middle of this and mark a 4-inch opening. So that's my start and stop point. Whenever I start and stop, anytime I have to turn something inside out, whenever I start and stop, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I always like to do a back stitch or a lock stitch of some sort. That way I make sure that my threads are nice and locked in. Also, I leave a little bit of a tail so that whenever I turn everything right side out, if they start to come apart a little bit, then all I have to do is tug on those tails and that will help to put everything back together. So I'm going to take this over to the machine. I'm going to stitch 1/4 of an inch all the way around until I get back to that mark. And I stop again, back stitch at the beginning and end. Okay, so as you can see, I've left myself a little bit of a thread tail on either side of my opening. And then the next thing I'm going to do is clip my corners. We always need to remember to clip our corners whenever we do this. Make sure that it reduces the bulk in those corners and makes your corners be able to be turned out nice and crisp. So take this and you want to make sure that you grab your sleeve on the lining side as you're turning, so that the sleeves stay on the lining side instead of accidentally putting them on the outside of the back of the notebook cover. And work your way through. Try not to go too fast. Sometimes if you go too fast, you end up accidentally ripping that seam apart, and you don't want to rip that seam apart or pop any of your stitches. All right, and then once you have those done, then I like to come back and press my edges so that they are nice and even. And I just roll the seam around a little bit and take my iron and press all the way around. So the last thing that I do for the notebook cover, for the construction of it, is go around and I top stitch 1/8 of an inch to the inside of that seam, and that's going to finish that out just like this. One last touch, this optional bookmark, the cloth bookmark, you can make one of those. You're going to do the same thing that we did for the tab. So you're going to cut your fabric to length, you're going to fold it in half, wrong sides together, open it back up, fold those raw edges to the inside, and then fold it again. And all you do is top stitch down the open side so that you close that up and it's nice and open. So once you have all that pressed, you're going to come back and top stitch right along those open edges. So then everything is nice and closed up and you have a nice fabric bookmark that you can use. Once you've got that done and you've got your notebook assembled, you're going to thread this through the D-ring. Now I found it's easier and it looks really neat, kind of looks like a man's tie whenever you do this, but if you fold it in half, take your fold, put it down through that D-ring, open up that loop, and then grab the tails and pull the tails down through that loop. It's going to be nice and flat and look really, really sharp right there. Once you've got that done, you're going to come back with your scissors. And I like to clip where the seamed edge is the bottom of my 45 degree, but you're going to clip about 45 degree, as long or short as you want it. You don't have to go really long. You don't have to go really short. It's all up to you. I do like to stagger them though and have a couple of different lengths, so it's not just one same length on there. So this is the Gali's notebook cover. Make sure you head on over to our website, thequiltedcow.com, grab yourself a kit. Like I said, the kit includes all the fabric and everything that you're going to need to be able to just sit and sew. It also includes a paper pattern in there for you to be able to use. So check that out. Make sure that you like and subscribe to our videos, and thanks so much for watching.
Okay, you wicked cool quilters, good job. You made it to the end. We would like to thank our sponsors, Husqvarna Viking Sewing Machines, Creative Grids, rulers, rotary cutters, and mats, and Wilmington Prints for the beautiful fabrics. Thanks for watching.